Well, Mr. George, a legal practitioner, joins us next to weigh in on the matter. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
Well, you've also looked and still monitoring some of these issues. Is this getting the kind of expectation you had?
With regard to fights against corruption or with regard to the suspension itself?
Both of them, the fight against corruption and the suspension.
Well, everybody has said that it came quite late, especially with that of the Secretary to the Federal Government. Well, it's indicative of how slow the government is, actually. But the flip side of it is that having come this late, at a point in time when a lot of people, having agitated and gotten tired, the president chose to suspend him. The flip side and positive side of it is that it's still not Uhuru for a number of other people who are within the presidency that also had one scandal or the other. You remember there was a Dubai scandal, Dubai property scandal that dogged the chief of army staff. At a point in time, it was like it went down like quite a number of things in Nigeria do. There was one that also dogged the chief of staff of the president. In other words, it follows that along the line, maybe 1 month, 2 months' time, we may find out that the president would have acted on all of those because we thought he had even forgotten.
What if they did this to just douse or take away?
No, but what it shows you is that it's like the wheel of justice. It is slow, but it will grind and continue. So chances are that it's not Uhuru for the other places. You notice the kind of tension that went down with regard to this suspension. Almost everybody said, look, we expected this. In other words, the president has done what the generality of Nigerians wanted. The generality of Nigerians wanted other things along with this. If you remember one of your programs, I think it was either two days or thereabout, one lady that was in your Abuja studio said 1 down, 3 to go. I didn't have an idea of the threat she meant, but there are quite a number of other people who are within the presidency. And I've said so on this platform. Maybe apart from the vice president who is, on the same page with the president appears to be alone in this fight for corruption. He appears to be alone. And when I say so, I say it in absolute terms.
Why?
I don't see any other person who has bought into this vision. So, in other words, the president can be talking about anti-corruption while all his assistants, his aides, are going the other way. They are not on the same page.
Is it because maybe if some of them are not speaking up, they appear not to be on the same page with the president?
The point is that if he looks hard into his own cabinet, into his own system, I'm talking about even the presidency.
Yeah, but with the presidency or the president appoint those who will not be on the same page to help him execute the mandate Nigerians have given him.
That's what it has turned out to be. For instance, now look at the arrogance. People call it impunity, but I take it from a pedestrian standpoint. The arrogance that was exhibited by the Secretary to Government on the day he was suspended. You notice the same arrogance when he was summoned by the Senate. He was like, who are these people? I'm talking about the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If not for deficiencies and the character deficits that we have, or things we hold against the Senate epitomizes Nigeria. And they should be respected very seriously. Senate summons him, he looks at them in the face and regards what they did as badadash. That was his word.
Does this further consolidate the thoughts of the president's wife, that the president is surrounded by people he doesn't even know?
Well, one can say so, but you see, some of us who argued at that point in time that the president, when he was appointing what appears to be his kitchen cabinet, we argued that he should make a spread, find out very competent people, capable people to work with him. A number of other people, especially people in his party, argued that no, he has to get people who he trusts, people he doesn't have to. I think their word was have to look over his shoulders on and all of that. And I'm saying a man who contested the election as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should be able to trust people from across the land, not trust people around him. This is the result. So because this man doesn't even believe that he can be sacked. You know, we noticed that one of the journalists asked that question. So do you think, when he asked who is the presidency, you said, do you mean that you cannot be suspended? So to him, it is like, how can this happen?
Isn't that the bane of what we see with a lot of public officials in this country?
Good. Quite a number of them are like that. And you see, that brings me to, you know, one interview you held with this, the acting chairman of EFCC. A lot of people didn't know who he was. That was, and he hardly grants public interviews. That was the opportunity of showcasing who he was and all of that. What did we get? An arrogant, that is, God would have been more humble in that. That thing went viral, that interview that you had with him. And he was like stopping you on almost all the questions. And the questions you were asking were all genuine questions that were agitating the minds of Nigeria, that were now being asked through you. And he was dismissing them with a wave of hand. At a point in time, it's almost like, don't ask me that question and all of that. Go back to that. The thing went viral on YouTube. So that is the impression a lot of people had about him. And he didn't need to look wicked or mean to fight corruption. The regular corruptions you can even look very friendly. In short, what we know in advanced countries is that the policeman is even very friendly with you. But at the point he's very friendly with you, he's also very firm. Do me a favor, put your hands behind your back. You put your hands behind your back, the next thing you say, a handcuff clicks. He's being cautious with you, but he's being fair.
This all talks about orientation, really.
Yes.
Really. Do you feel that our orientation agency is able to get across to politicians, to start with, to be able to, maintain a level of decorum when it comes to affairs relating to the public?
You see, let me tell you, it is the arrogance of the typical politician that is translating to what we are seeing. You get the point? The typical politician believes that he can do anything. He owns the country. So you are appointed to a particular position. You forget that in this position, you are holding it in trust for the people. So in other words, it is by the time people are asking questions, whether they are journalists or whatever, is that who are you? Where are you coming from? Because the politician or the government appointee is up there in a tinted glass, very removed from people. You hardly can see anybody and all of that. And you're asking him to account. Account to who? So you see, this suspension, for instance, has sent the message down the line that a number of things can happen. But you see, what I do not buy is the idea of a panel. That panel is unnecessary. It's unnecessary in the sense that with the case of the SGF, there was one journalist that went out of his way to even print the invoice, the tellers with which Roller Vision paid, Justmon Technologies or whatever, that's the contractor, I guess, paid money into Roller Vision's account. 10 million. I read it. Nigerians are seized of these facts. Such that even a pedestrian investigator, he should raise an alarm on him. He should flag off that something must be wrong with this frequency of payment. 10 million in a day, almost regularly for about 5 days. But what we saw is that the secretary to government has quickly removed his name as the director of the company, but he was a signatory to the account. What is there to investigate again? He should have been handed over to the security agencies. So
are you saying that he should have been prosecuted immediately?
Immediately. A number of us argued on this particular platform. When the judges were being raided, their houses were being broken. The doors and windows were broken. The security agents literally came from the roof to come and get what they thought was, what they said was a sting operation, to come and get what they thought was evidence. And what were the pieces of evidence? Some of them, falsification of age is what you had to go and do late in the night. Some of them, expired gun, what do you call it now? Firearms license and all of that. You had to come and do that in there. And we said, look, there is an NJC who is statutorily seized with the power to discipline judges and all. Everybody said, no, this is a criminal offense. No, NJC cannot handle it. That they should be arrested. And the judges went to court. So what is the difference? Why can't we apply some uniformity? This is a case that everybody knows. In short, the government of Yobe State, where they said they supplied renovated about 18 schools. They said they cannot see the schools. I'm talking about this PINE, the Presidential Intervention Fund of the Northeast. There's another 422 million that was supposed to be used to buy tents. It's even outside the grass cotton issue. I'm talking about plethora of other contracts that are questionable. You know, so 422 million for tents. The IDPs don't have those tents.
Let's take a break. Then we'll be back and wrap this up in a moment. Just stay with us.